Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our Thankful Thursday and yet another day of being blessed and counting our blessings. Let's start our morning with the power of dreams programming. Let's start. So we've been talking about scanners, and today we're going to talk about a different scanner, something called a serial master. Let's understand the science, the philosophy, and what goes behind the minds. And it'll help us get enriched with ideas because I believe every learning, whether it's applicable to us or not, teaches us a lot of things. So let's go for it. Whenever I read any chapter, I think I find a part of me in that chapter always. That's the human attitude. We always tend to see which part of us is there. Today we are on chapter number 15. It says, are you a serial master? I just won my third equestrian show jumping meet last month, and now I'm ready to look for something else. My teacher is disappointed, my family thinks I'm crazy. When I'm excelling at something, I'm on top of the world. But at the same point, I want to try something new. The problem is, I often don't know what that will be. That's when I feel lost. I have done things quite well, I might add, from performing taiko, drumming to trading stocks, etc. I moved on when I found enough satisfaction of mastery, according to my own standard. It seems this should have value somewhere in the real world, but these personal triumphs don't add up to anything. I'll never find a career that works for me. So are you a serial master? Do you love taking on a learning challenge? Do you love looking forward to the struggle against your own limits? Is it exhilarating to move from ignorance to competence and to realize you've done well because of your own efforts? Do you have less and less available time because you dislike leaving any hard-learned skill behind but continue taking on new ones? Have you ever wished you could clone yourself so you could keep learning new things? Do you keep satisfaction from showing people how to do better? Do you wish you could change their view of their own limits? Do you enjoy being in the spotlight, giving demonstrations, getting respect and perhaps applause? If you said yes to some of these questions, you are a serial master. It's odd to put those two words together, serial and master, because even more than serial specialist, they seem to contradict each other. But the title fits you. Unlike a typical scanner, you love to stick with things until you master them. But just like all scanners, once you've gotten what you wanted, you get interested in something new. For serial scanners, interest comes and goes, but the love of mastery always stays. You might take up sports or martial arts, but you also love to the challenge of learning a new musical instrument or new language, even fitting into a foreign culture until you've almost become a native. Anything in which you can start from near zero competence and work your way up to the very best you're capable of. But if you're a scanner, there's no question about it. Because once you've achieved your best, you go looking for a new project. You love the conquest, you love the process of becoming a master even more. The kind of learning you undertake is always difficult, but it's pure joy to you. So remember, we spoke about Harry and Edith. We also spoke about the fact that they reach the prime time of their career and then they drop it like a hot cake because they've gotten what they wanted out of it. Now, in this case, people are going to start from here, ground level, move up, and then drop because now they have got what they wanted. So it's very interesting to know that serial scanners are excelling at everything and moving so easily from one thing to another. To understand this concept more, it sounds Latin Greek to many, but to many, they're like, yeah, I know, I've been there. Let's read Tanya's story. Tanya runs her own martial arts school. She took it over when her teacher, a widely respected master, retired and moved to Japan. Being chosen to run the school was a great honor, but Tanya has mixed feelings about it. If my teacher knew that I wanted to master other disciplines instead of devoting each day to perfecting karate, I know he'd be profoundly disappointed in me. I sometimes have dreams about it. She never shared her feelings with her teacher, but she's known about them ever since she was a child. I love finding a challenge that interests me and throwing myself into it, she told me. I'm into mastering something, doing it until I'm good, as good as I can get. I got my black belt in Hapkido last year and I felt like $1 million. I still love martial arts and don't ever want to give them up. But I've reached my limits. Believe me, I know that unmistakable feeling of I'm here, I did it. These kind of people just feel that, oh, I've done it all, time to move on. Now, what motivates a serial master? Jerry, a graphic artist by trade, sent me this quote from Anais Nin, and it's pretty much sums up the way most serial masters feel. Let's read it together. It takes courage to push yourself to places that you have never been before, to test your limits, to break through barriers. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning, Jerry said. I thought everyone felt that way, or if they didn't, there was something wrong with them. What excites Jerry is excellence. So those of you who read Ikigai, that was a purpose. But again, Ikigai can keep changing. Our purpose can keep changing. Today, something interests me a lot. Tomorrow, it may not. Today, I'm waking up for this. Tomorrow, I might wake up for something else. Like some people are waking up so first thing in the morning for meditation that like gives them what they want. Then some people change. The same people change. Like, okay, I'm going to have time for my, my yoga, time for my exercises, for my walk. And then same person can say, oh, I've joined these classes and I'm really hooked on and I'm like getting up for this. Then some people will say, oh, now I don't wake up only because nothing excites me. And that is normal. It's not abnormal. So don't judge yourself if you are changing because that's what you want right now. But let's understand the story a bit more and a conversation. Jerry says, I was more competitive than when I was younger. And I always tested myself against others. Now that I'm older, I test myself against my own limits. Reaching them is gratifying, exhilarating. These days, I've started jumping into fields that have nothing to do with athletics. Last year, I was determined to play the clarinet. It was tough, the same feeling exactly of starting a new sport or martial art, the feeling of ineptness, the stubbornness, the first sign that this might be learnable. I stayed with it until I was as good as I was going to get, enjoying every minute of it. But after that, I didn't do it very often. So those of you who begin something with a bang and they're like, wow, I'm enjoying it. And then you just drop it. ठीक है. You are one of these people. Because आपकी attention को grasp करना, it's not easy. That's how you're conditioned. आपको change करने में मजा आता है. Because आपको लगता है कि अभी ये learning हो गई, अभी और नहीं सीखना. So that's why you are like who you are. So it's all right. Now, Jessica says, I set myself the challenge of learning the Czech language because I was impressed with the professor who was head of my local amnesty group and he advised it. I signed up. And then I discovered it was a course for graduate students in Slavic linguistics and that the course was actually being taught by someone else. Like most Americans, my knowledge of English grammar was rudimentary. And suddenly I was being told to memorize all seven case endings for masculine, feminine, neuter, neuronouns, and for adjectives by the end of the week. I was in way over my head. But I just decided I was going to do it. And I ended up being quite fluent in Czech. When I finally went to Prague, I got involved with a small brewery and took the challenge of learning how to make beer. I felt the same way. And I'm actually listed in an encyclopedia of beer as an expert on Czech beer. My interview showed me something very interesting that I haven't ever seen before. People who try to master one field, tennis players or bridge players or poets, for example, they have more in common with people who seek mastery in different fields than they have with casual hobbyists in their own. Those people who love mastery understand each other perfectly, but they don't understand a casual or half hearted effort. They agree on what's important, excellence, giving their best. For the most part, however, if you are someone who loves mastery for its own sake, you're at odds with your practical peers. What are you going to do with Czech? You won an award in beer making. That's great. Get some financing and you can start your own brewery. But the serial master's already gotten the reward she wanted and she's moved on to other challenges. The repertory life design model. So now, by now, you've realized that serial masters just can't stick. They move one profession to another, to another, to another. A serial master should never feel she's wasted the effort put into anything she learns, even if she doesn't continue to use it on a regular basis, because like many scanners, she's a collector. She collects knowledge of herself, of course, and master of the detailed process of learning anything new. But serial masters also collect actual skills, languages, martial arts, mountain climbing, and every one of these acquired skills increases her professional value. This is a musician increases his professional value by adding one piece of music after another to his repertoire. Where will you perform this repertoire? Will you teach clarinet or lace making? You probably won't. Although it will be fun to step forward on those occasions when someone asks a question no one but you can answer. But you don't want to teach only one thing over and over and over again anymore. Then you want to learn the same thing over and over again. And you'll see in a moment, you can use every skill in your repertoire to create a fulfilling career, one that will support your love of mastery for its own sake. Every scanner should give mastery a try. We could all learn from serial masters, whether we care about challenging ourselves or not. As serial masters know, exercising your ability to do anything well, understanding math, listening to music, dancing to a swing band, or learning to juggle might be as good for your own overall health as pure physical exercise. If you're not a serial master, it's not in your nature to enjoy mastering anything or something just for the sake of it. But every scanner should try it just for exercise. It's good for you to learn how to spin a yo-yo or play a harmonica. It gives you a taste of the kind of stubborn tenacity you might need sometimes in your future. If you don't have much free time to understand a stint with mastery because you have so many more interests you care about more, just bring into some quality time you want to spend with your kids or your nieces and nephews. Why? Because children bring out the best in you. There's this beautiful innocence about them. There's this earthiness about them. There's groundedness about them. There's a zest and zeal for them, which we as adults forget. So let these children teach you how to become a very good yo-yo spinner. Let them push you until you get it. Kids know quite a bit about mastering things and can teach you a lot. They re-energize you. So whether you have grandchildren or children or somebody else's, just remember that whenever you deplete your energy, just go with children and the smiles and the little tactics and the little messy stuff. It'll bring you back on track. It's a company we keep. The younger company we keep, the younger we will be inside. The older we keep, and if they're not wise enough, we will be sucked into a world of complaints and blame game or whatever. So see the companies you're looking out for. What if they don't want to teach you how to use a yo-yo or whatever else they know? Pay them. Kids always need money and you'll take it more seriously that way. Anyways, all teachers deserve to be paid. So one thing which I learned from this book is that energy exchange, which is money exchange, is really amazing. Anyone who teaches you anything needs to be paid, right? Paid in cash or kind. So children, the best thing is to treat them, trick them, give them, make them know, I need to learn this from you. And the more you do this, the more you honor their knowledge, the more you're empowering them and yourselves. So yeah, it's good to even succumb to paying them. Why not? If you are a serial master, however, you have a problem most other scanners don't have. Once you reach the limits of mastery that satisfy you, you're ready to move on, you're frequently stuck with nothing to do. While most scanners see fascinating new projects beckoning to them from all sides, serial masters do not. They have a hard time finding another challenge, and they find that empty handed being extremely uncomfortable. So, a lot of times, why scanners are shifting from one thing to another because of their love for life, because of the love for something new, because of the love for excitement. So it's nice to be that rather than being who we are. Maybe just look at yourselves in the morning when you're waking up. Is it for zest and excitement and something good for life? Or is it like just a mundane, oh, I have to do this, so I'm getting up? It's very important to fall in love again. Love with your life, love with things that you do. How do we do that? Mel says, I'm now very much into weight training in the gym. I've been doing it consistently for 2 months and I can see the results. I've considered being a fitness trainer, but I know I won't stick with it. I have this dread that when I'm finished, I won't be able to figure out what's next. Taylor says it's such an empty feeling to be finished with something and not know what the next thing is. But I never know what's going to be exciting until I bump into it. Nancy says, when I master something, I seem to pave the way for more mastery. If I can hang glide, I can do anything. But the next opportunity has not yet arrived, unfortunately, or has not been recognized. So this is very important to know that you are looking for something. As long as you accept that I am looking for something new, that's amazing. Part of the reason that serial masters despair during a hiatus is that they can't see any connection between the things they love. So they don't know where to start or where to end or where to look next because they do not know. They often say that they have to stumble upon or onto a new interest, bump into something, wait for the next opportunity to arrive. I've often wondered why such focused and determined people won't search more actively for something that's so important to them. It's as if they don't understand what the underlying magnetism is. If you haven't already tried to analyze what draws you to one challenge or another, perhaps the following questions will help you. They have helped a number of my serial master clients to find the next interests. Some questionnaire which is going to have a deeper understanding. The first question would be, describe the moment you first realized you were drawn to each of your earlier interests. Now, for this, the best thing would be to go quiet and just close your eyes and then ask these questions. Do you see anything these moments had in common? Was there anything you recognize as essential in all of them? Can you list areas you know you are definitely not interested in taking up? Do they have anything in common? I can try to do this questionnaire in the meditation, but the thing with these questionnaires is the reflection time, you know. So let's see if we can work around it. Otherwise, I would request, the problem is, or the point is, which we should all understand is that we're looking for stuff outside us, but all the wisdom, all the intelligence is innately built. It's within us. Whenever you need to ask something, you're seeking an answer, please ask yourself. Don't wait for somebody outside to come and tell you. I'm not saying somebody outside is bad. In fact, it's important. You know, coaches have coaches, gurus have gurus, teachers have teachers above them. Um, Counselors have counselors. It's fine. There's a chain. We all are learning. We all are evolving. And the reason why we have teachers or guides or mentors is because they are steering you in some direction. So if you have somebody who can help you with this introspection, great, good enough. If not, go deep within you and ask. So I'm not saying that being dependent is bad, but while being dependent, to start becoming independent is good. We need dependency because we're humans. We are used to depending and we are emotional beings. So we have learned that. But it's nice to keep that away from emotions, just for like learning point of perspective. Now, these questions, you must give them a try and take some time to think about your answers. You might get some really good insight that will point you directly to your next challenge. But this kind of deliberate search isn't always helpful for scanners, and they often report making mistakes when they try it. Some of them report they've established in advance what should be the next ideal challenge and sort it out only to find it uninteresting. I looked at everything I'd cared about before and I was sure I'd love to learn ballroom dancing, Gail said. But it didn't do a thing for me. I felt like I was on a date my mom had arranged, no chemistry. Gail had put her finger on what every serial master's experience most resembles. Finding the person you can fall in love with. Everyone knows the feeling, but nobody knows how to predict when it'll happen. It's there or it's not. And as far no one has figured out why. That's why it's virtually impossible to plan ahead to the next perfect challenge. You, like most serial specialists, may have to put in your waiting time. The only advice I can give you is the same. I'd give someone who wants to fall in love. And those of you who have a physical book, please underline this, highlight this. Get out into the action. Visit lots of different places and maximize your chances of encountering the person or the challenge that you're looking for. This is the true thing. The more you are out, the more you're looking out, the more you're moving out, the more exposed you are, the more chances of stumbling upon something that you are inclined to fall in love with will come to you. But I have a great idea for something that you can do while you wait. So if you're in the waiting interim period, let's start working on your fabulous careers. Now, what fabulous career, somebody will say. Michelle says, for such hard-working people, we serial masters seem to be the hardest to employ. Who's going to hire someone like us? As soon as we get good at what we do, we're on our way out of the door. Tanya, like many serial specialists, can't imagine what she'll do for a career if she leaves the school. In martial arts, if you don't become a master in one specialized field and stick with it, you can't attract students. You don't have any way to make a earning, and a living. It's back to the typing pool. In fact, there are a number of satisfying and lucrative careers that are just right for this kind of scanner. One of my clients, a true serial master, became an agent for all the best teachers he'd found in the fields he'd mastered: yoga, Tai Chi, meditation, and now he places ex teachers in the best spas in the country. Another serial master works as a career as a life coach for retired professional athletes. And although she has never been an athlete, she's very successful because she understands athletes very well. Some serial masters simply change careers on their own. Sarah. My father's best friend John Gall attended St. John's College, but only for long enough to get the curriculum of books. Then he went off by himself for 3 years and studied them. He actually graduated from Yale, and then he got an MD and was certified in pediatrics. Then he went to Egypt and with an expedition that x-rayed mummies. But what he actually did was to collect fingerprints from local people. I'm not clear what this was for, something about genetic studies. I think then he wrote a book called General Services Systematics, which is now called the Systems Bible and still sells quite well. Then he and his wife studied psychotherapy and started a private practice that concerned in psychology and children. Then he wrote a novel on Queen Hatshepsut, and now he says he just finished an autobiographical novel focused on his father, a powerful conservative Washington lawyer. Fascinating fellow. The most transferable skill serial masters have is the experience with excellence. Serial masters are natural leaders who understand how to make people want to succeed. They're experts in pushing personal limits past anything a person thought he was capable of. Again, read this line clearly. Serial masters are experts in pushing personal limits past anything a person thought he was capable of. अपने आप को ही challenge करते हैं. They understand the actual machinery of striving for excellence inside and outside. A good mechanic understands an engine. That means you, my dear friends, could be a first rate athletic coach, school teacher, but you might find those professions, you'd use too much of your time. While you need to earn a living and have impact and be respected, your happiness and emotional health requires that you take on new challenges. That's why I think the best fitting, most lucrative, and least time consuming career in the world for a serial master, the one that uses your amazing passion for personal challenges and experiences, but still leaves you time to continue mastering new challenges, is being a motivational speaker. Serial specialists make first rate gurus. Recently, I returned from making a presentation at a women's luncheon in Rochester, which was sponsored by a local hospital. It was fun. The women were delighted to have a speaker. It paid well and it flowed in and out on the same day. On the way to the airport, the booking agent who had brought me in told me about some stories about the famous athletes she often got to speak at her events. And I wondered aloud what they would have to tell women. They've always conquered some personal challenges. It's very motivational. And everyone likes to be motivated, she says. I realized she was right, and no one in the world could help motivate people like a serial master. So I set up a program to help serial masters working with take the first steps towards becoming motivational speakers. So if you're interested, like all of you who think this is your calling, let's go step by step. If you're interested in the subject, you might want to write down these steps and your responses in your scanner day book. We can simply just start. It doesn't have to become the best. We can start. Step 1. If you're ever taught any of the things you've studied, remember, if you're ever taught any of the things you've studied, you've found that your students haven't always had your drive. Why did you want them to understand that might change that? Could you tell a story about how you messed up and what was going on in your mind and how you managed to hang in anyways? And how good every step started to feel? Practice describing details like that by writing them down. And next time you're working on a new challenge, you might want to carry a recording device to talk into so you can catch the subtle things you feel when you're on the path to mastering something. One thing is, if you really want to be a coach, a person, a mentor, you got to be vulnerable. Open your life story because people understand emotions. If you're sharing your true light, they will resonate in it. They will see the light. They will understand. They will gel with it. So that's one thing. And start writing it out if you really want to do it. Step number 2, find a low risk way to practice telling a story to a small group of people. A high school coach asks if she like you to talk to her with students about how you learned what you did. If you're in martial arts like Tanya, the kids actually might listen. If your area of mastery is language or art or just learning how to achieve excellence, what made that happen? Anything you say on that subject is perfect for a high school. In any case, you still have to keep the attention and you care about your message. You'll find a natural comedian or a great storyteller within you to do the job. Nothing trains you like a live audience. If you give your talk once, you won't learn much. If you give it 10 times, you will learn everything you need to learn about holding an audience. And that's what they say. Just simply start, pick up number of few friends, start doing something, maybe do on Zoom, maybe start a book reading club, maybe talk to each other, maybe just start and then gradually build yourself. Step number 3, start talking in front of larger groups. Once you attain the smaller group and you've got confidence, go for a larger group. Still for practice and for free, I'd avoid fun single groups or anything that's about light-hearted party time. With a subject like excellence, you can try to find where you've really needed, like the parents of handicapped kids or spouses from foreign countries who have to learn new ways of doing everything from language to driving. And of course, you can speak in front of conferences for school teachers themselves so they can pass it on. Step number 4, head over to Toastmasters International Organization with branches in hundreds of locations where you can practice making your talk short and punchy. Step number 5, whenever you feel ready to start earning money as a speaker, contact the National Speakers Association and begin to learn the business side of this profession. You'll make a great speaker if you're a serial master, even if you're not an extrovert. Why? You'll want to master the skills like any other, of course, but the major reason you'll be good are first, that you know what you're talking about, and second, you sincerely want people to hear you. So Toastmasters is there in India. It's absolutely amazing if somebody wants to build up their oratory skills. I haven't been a part of it, but a lot of my dear friends have been part of it. And it's apparently really teaches you how to add humor, wit, punch into your conversations, to keep it short and to the point, to get to captivate the attention of your audience in lesser number of minutes by speaking lesser and being more effective. So how serial masters do everything they love. We've spoken about the models, we've spoken about the careers, we've spoken about it, what we should be having in our day book in hand. Now, you know better than anyone from personal experience that doing things with excellence as a goal is more exciting and creative, even easier than being half-hearted and giving less than what you've got. And you know that if you could make people understand this, it would change their lives. That gives you the drive and clarity of a great motivational speaker. So with motivational speaker, what will happen is first you feel worthwhile that you're changing lives. So find an audience. It doesn't have to be always money and empowering, right? If you think empowering lives makes a difference too, start finding an audience, start finding a topic, a tangible topic which you're interested in. And eventually you can build a lucrative career lecturing in corporations later. That can happen later. Sales conferences, teacher conferences, fitness, fashion. वो सब अपने आप, all the challenges will happen over the years. But simply start. And the best thing you can do is to keep your mind sharp, your self-esteem high, and your fighting weight stable. That's just a thought and I bet it would work. And for this, remember, even when we go off these morning sessions, please pick up book reading. I will try and start a book and we'll just open sessions whenever possible. I wouldn't want it to completely close. We can keep it generic, but you should also be doing it in your time because believe me, the power of book reading is the best gift we can give to ourselves. And when done in a sangha, at least you're doing it. Apne aap se tends to just get sidetracked. So we will be trying that. But remember, you must keep yourselves up. Now it's time to meet the well-known jack of all trades. Tomorrow we'll talk about jack of all trades, how they don't master anything, but they're a trade. Serial specialists are definitely people who are, fantastic, who are amazing, who keep learning from within and who keep excelling and then they keep dropping stuff to move on. All right, time for us to move to Surya Namaskars. So when I see each of these patterns, I find a bit of me in them and I have taken back so much of learning. And I think as a person, this book has really helped me because it makes me not judge myself and accept me for who I am. A lot many times I have to wonder, why do I go on top and then I drop it and I'm like, I'm not interested. Now I know that I'm a true scanner, so it's all right. Now I don't judge myself. And that's beauty. So, all right, let's do our sun salutations and then we'll come back to our reading of Letting Go.
The Surya Namaskar with mantras. Om Mitraye Namaha. Om Ravaye Namaha. Om Suryaye Namaha. Om Bhanave Namaha. Om Khagaye Namaha. Om Pushne Namaha. Om Hiranyagarbhaye Namaha. Om Marichaye Namaha. Om Adityaye Namaha. Om Savitre Namaha. Om Arkaye Namaha. Om Bhaskaraye Namaha. Salutations to the universal friend. Salutations to the resplendent sun. Salutations to the energy that induces activity within us. Salutations to the one who illumines. Salutations to the sun moving across the sky. Salutations to the giver of strength. Salutations to the golden cosmic self. Salutations to the Lord of the dawn. Salutations to the son of Aditi, the cosmic mother. Salutations to the benevolent mother. Salutations to the energy that we praise, and to the one who guides us to salvation. The sun salutation now with the names of the postures, both in Sanskrit and English. Pranamasan, Hastuthanasan, Madhahastasan, left leg back, Ashvasanchalanasan, Parvatasan, and hold this position, and now slowly progressing into the deeper version of Parvatasan, Adho Mukh Shvanasan. Ashtang Namaskar, Bhujangasan, Parvatasan, left forward Ashvasanchalanasan, Padahastasan, Hastuthanasan, Pranamasan. On the right side, prayer position, raised arms pose, hand to feet pose, right leg back, equestrian pose, mountain pose, hold mountain pose, and slowly moving into the deeper version of mountain, the downward facing dog. Salute with 8 limbs, cobra, press back to mountain, right forward equestrian pose, hand to feet pose, raised arms position, prayer pose. One round of the sun salutation with awareness on the breathing. So exhaling our hands to the chest, pranam. Inhaling as we bend back. We exhale as we fold forward. Left leg back, inhale as we're arching back. Exhale into the forward. Hold the breath for knees, chest, chin. Inhale as we arch back. Exhale into the forward. Left leg forward, inhale. This is a back bend. Exhale whenever we bend forward. Inhale as we bend back. Exhale, hands to the chest. And on the right, deep breathing. Exhale. A deep inhale. A long exhale. Right leg back with an inhale. And exhale. Hold the breath. Inhale and exhale. Right leg forward with a deep inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale.
Yes, Richa, I'm so glad. I read your message and I'm so glad that you found that it's a gift that you have and it's not something which is somebody who keeps telling people that, you can't stick on. So very glad that you're finding this book to be interesting. And that's why I probably brought this book. Nonetheless, yesterday in our letting go, we were talking about desire. We spoke a clear demarcation that what is sankalp, what is intention, and what is desire. And we said that when we feel ki desire hoga, to cheezein milega, and we should hold on to our desire. But the truth is, intention is important. But uske baad, let go, surrender. Surrendering helps us to get what we want, because when you desire something, and if you're really holding on to it like an obsessive desire, you're only creating blockages in the energy flow. And if you have fear of not getting it, that fear will come true. I don't know how many of you have realized that when you judge people, ki aise kaise ho sakta hai, that problem happens to you sometime in your life because you have judged somebody, and then that's how the karma is. It will show you that, oh, you judge, now it's back onto you. That's how life is. Whether it's so important to be very, very clear in what you're thinking, to see your programming of the world, to see that actually are we picturing ambition, success, or are we associating ourselves with hard work, or what are we actually working in it? Are we sacrificing? What are we doing? So let's take our journey forward by reading this chapter. Last paragraph on this page. Let's compare the arduous lower consciousness way of achieving goals with a higher state of consciousness in which we have acknowledged and let go of the desire and are in a free state. In a freer state, that which is chosen manifests in our life effortlessly. जब हम कुछ चीज मैनिफेस्ट करते हैं, सोचते हैं कि हमें ये चाहिए और छोड़ देते हैं उसको, एंड सरेंडर एंड वी आर लेटिंग आवर लाइफ फ्लो, वो बहुत जल्दी मैनिफेस्ट हो जाएगी. The thing about things is it has to be effortless. I don't know how many of you are morning में जब हम 1 मिनट 21 सेकंड मैनिफेस्ट कर रहे हो, how easily you're able to go into your dream. अब बहुत effort लग रहा है क्या? So it should, when you are effortless, you are going to get a lot in your life. We surrender the emotion of desire and instead merely choose a goal, picture it lovingly, and allow it to happen because we see that it is already ours. जब हमको वननेस हो जाती है ना अपने ड्रीम के साथ, अपने गोल के साथ, तो ड्रीम भी सामने निकल के आता है फटाफट. What is it already? Why is it already ours? Now, in a low state of consciousness, the universe is seen as negative and denying, frustrating and reluctant. जब हम नेगेटिव दुनिया में होते हैं ना, हमें लगता है लाइफ तो बड़ी मुश्किल है, मिलती नहीं चीजें, ये अच्छा नहीं है, यू कांट ट्रस्ट पीपल. तो आप लोअर स्टेट ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस में हो. कहाँ से बोल रहे हो? ईगो से बोल रहे हो, अहम से बोल रहे हो, आपकी नेगेटिव प्रोग्रामिंग की वजह से बोल रहे हो. It is like a bad, stingy parent. In a higher state of consciousness, where love is guiding you, where your soul is guiding you, our experience of the universe changes. It now becomes like a giving, loving, unconditionally approving parent who wants us to have everything we want. And it is ours for the asking. Mango or milega. This is creating a different context. It is giving the universe a different meaning. Although the world may be stingy and hostile to other people, there is no reason why we should buy into their paradigm. When we buy into their paradigm, we're making it that way in our own life. As we experience the letting go of desires, we begin to see that what we have chosen will come into our life almost magically. What we hold in our mind tends to manifest very beautifully. And as said before, during times of supposed high unemployment, some people are not only employed, but have 2 or 3 jobs. And you may have seen that in yourself in the pandemic. People were saying business bahut manda hai, ye bahut bura hai, wo bahut bura hai. But some people were thriving. We were thriving. Because we knew there's nothing called dhanda manda or nothing called, bad times. We were being thankful and it was working very well. And for many of you, you would have observed that. Life is truly magical. Life truly manifests whatever we want as long as we have oneness for it. And if you have oneness for negative, वो भी हो जाएगा. This was a shocking new way of looking at the world when it was first encountered. There was a hope that it wasn't true, but also skepticism that said, this just isn't possible on a pragmatic level. A strict Protestant ethic background made it hard to believe. Nonetheless, the willingness was there to be open-minded enough to give it a try. Now, here was the initial experience with letting go of desire. So all of you who haven't let go abhi tak properly, aaj shuru karte. Personal goals written down, followed by letting go of desire for them. हमने personal goals तो बहुत बार लिखे हैं. अब हमें let go करना है. कैसे? Let's understand. It sounds paradoxical, but this is the process. Identify the goal and then let go of wanting them. One goal that had been held in your mind, in your heart. So can you please turn the page? Please be with me. For several years was an apartment in New York City because work commitments required a lot of commuting and money spent on hotel rooms. A small apartment in the city, a so-called pied a terre, would be the economical solution. Now, apartment in New York City was written down as a goal. When utilizing this way of achieving goals, we include all the details, as impossible as they may seem to the rational mind to achieve. For example, the apartment should have so many bedrooms, such a bathroom, such a kitchenette, or maybe a terrace garden, or whatever. जितना डिटेल गोल में जाएंगे, अपने ड्रीम में जाएंगे, उतना आप उसको एक फॉर्मेशन देंगे. So the ideal apartment was detailed, reasonably priced on Fifth Avenue. मतलब they've even written down कहाँ चाहिए. आपको suppose आप बोलते हो मुझे कानपुर में या मुझे औरंगाबाद में अपार्टमेंट चाहिए. हाँ, इतनी बड़ी सिटी में कहाँ चाहिए? एरिया आइडेंटिफाई करो ना. On Fifth Avenue in the 70s block, right next to an entrance to Central Park, at least 8 or 9 floors up, and in the rest of the street noise would be minimized and not any bigger than about 2.5 rooms. The next day at work, it was pretty busy as usual, with the big caseload meetings and patients' visits. In between the meetings and patients, the feeling of wantingness for the apartment would be acknowledged and let go. And as the day progressed, the apartment was actually forgotten. At 4:30 p.m., after the last patient, there was suddenly the impulse to drive into the city. Despite the fact that it was ostensibly rush hour, the road was clear and the drive took only half an hour. The car cruised to about 73rd and Lexington and pulling up to the nearest real estate office. Rather magically, there happened to be a parking space often open right there in front in the middle of the real estate office. The real estate officer, upon hearing the tongue-in-cheek announcement that the apartment on Fifth Avenue was desired, looked with surprise and said, "Well, if you're certain, you're certainly in luck. Exactly 1 hour ago, we listed the only apartment for rent on all of Fifth Avenue at 76th Street on the ninth floor. It is a rare apartment, 2.5 rooms, and the rent is reasonable. Rent controlled at $500 a month. It was just the painting, and you can move in it has just been painted, you can move it anytime." So we walked over and viewed the apartment. It fit the description of the goal exactly. The lease was signed on the spot. Within 24 hours of trying to letting go technique on a specific personal goal, the goal became a reality. Now, it has been something that has almost been impossible to find. And yet it happened exactly as pictured, effortlessly, with no negative emotions. It was an easy and joyous experience. Did you see? Intention कर दिया, सोच लिया, मूव ऑन कर गए. आपके दिन में आपके और भी काम है, ऑफिस में ये वो, दिमाग से आउट हो गया. बट जब मैजिक होना होता है, वो उसको डिजायर आए कि चलो अभी गाड़ी ड्राइव हो गई, चलो ऑफिस में वहां एग्जैक्टली चला गया, एंड ही गॉट इट. That's how magics happen. That's how law of attraction happens. संकल्प इंपॉर्टेंट है, इंटेंशन इंपॉर्टेंट है, डिटेलिंग इंपॉर्टेंट है, विश्वास इंपॉर्टेंट है कि मैंने मांगा है, मुझे पता है मिलेगा, इट्स ओके, नाउ आई एम बिजी इन माय अदर लाइफ, एंड यू विल गेट इट. Now, this is not an unusual experience, but typical one, because in this case, the desire was moderate and could, without much effort, he totally surrendered. Now, please understand, by being totally surrendered, this means that it was okay if the apartment happened, and it was okay if it didn't. Desperation nahi thi. इच्छा थी, इच्छा शक्ति थी कि चाहिए, बट नहीं मिलेगा तो भी चलेगा, मिलेगा तो बहुत ही बढ़िया. Because of being totally surrendered, the impossible became possible, manifesting itself effortlessly and rapidly. So did you understand? जहां let go किया, surrender किया, वहां वो आपका सपना यथार्थ में बदल जाता है. Because it's effortless, it's rapid. Now, all of us are human beings. Doubt to aega. We can all doubt this mechanism and look back at things that we wanted and that were achieved through ambition, desire, craving, and even obsessive frenzied wanting. The mind says, well, what if I had let go of the desire for those things? If it weren't for the desire, how could I have gotten them? The truth is, we could have gotten them anyway, only with our anxiety, fear of not getting, without all the energy expenditure, without all the effort, without all the trial and error, and without all the hard work. Well, the mind says, if you got it effortlessly, how about the pride of achievement? Won't we have to sacrifice that? Well, hell yes. We'd have to relinquish the vanity of all that sacrifice and hard work that we put into it. We would have to give up the sentimentality and self sacrifice and all the pain and suffering we went through to achieve our goal. This is the real truth. This is a peculiar perversion in our society, isn't it? If we suddenly become successful almost effortlessly, then people are envious. It really annoys them that we didn't have to go through all kinds of anguish, pain, suffering to get there. Their mind believes that such anguish is a cost that must be paid for success. Now let's look at this belief system. So all of us have this belief system कि चीजें आसानी से नहीं मिलती. क्यों नहीं मिलती? Let's look at the belief system. If it weren't for the negative programming that made us believe otherwise, why should we go through any cost of pain and suffering to achieve anything in our life? Isn't that a rather sadistic view of the world and the universe? क्यों हमें लगता है कि हमें कुछ ज्यादा करना पड़ेगा तो ही मिलेगा? क्यों? क्यों आसानी से नहीं मिल जाता? क्यों? Why? Why do you have to go through pain? क्यों हमने conditioning बना रखी है? Other blocks to the achievement of our wants and desires, of course, our unconscious guilt and smallness, ego, guilt, peculiarity. Peculiarly, the unconscious will allow us to have only what we think we deserve. अब आप क्या डिजर्व करते हैं वो आपके बिलीफ सिस्टम पे डिपेंडेंट है. क्या आपने किया कि मेरे को तो सब कुछ बड़े आसानी से मिलता है भाई, या अरे मेरे को तो बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ती है, मैं तो जो चाहता हूँ मुझे मिल जाता है, या नहीं मेरा जो चाहता हूँ मुझे बहुत मुश्किल से मिलता है. Understand, the more we hang on to our negativity and the small self-image that results, the less we think we deserve, and we unconsciously deny ourselves abundance which flows so easily to others. कईयों को इतनी आसानी से मिल जाती है, कईयों को बहुत मुश्किल से मिलती है. क्यों? क्योंकि उनको पता है उतना एफर्ट करने की जरूरत नहीं है, मांगो मिलेगा. That is why the saying says the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Rich blessing count करता रहता है, बोलता है मुझे तो बड़ी आसानी से मिलता है, अरे आ रहा है आ रहा है आ रहा है. और poor क्या है? अरे गरीबी है गरीबी गरीबी है. Blessings, attitude of gratitude. If we have a small view of ourselves and we think we deserve as poverty, our unconscious will see it and we will have that actuality. अगर आपके दिमाग में कुछ है तो वो होगा ही होगा. कब क्या इंटेंशन करी है, कब वो मैनिफेस्ट हो जाए, पता ही नहीं चलता. बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है इसको समझना. एंड मैं आपको पहले भी बताती हूँ, आप कई बार नेगेटिव चीजों को अनफॉर्चुनेटली अपने प्रोग्रामिंग में डाल देते हो. कुछ लिमिटेशंस, एज के बारे में, वेट के बारे में, वेल्थ के बारे में. प्लीज, देयर इज वन मंत्रा, यूज इट ऑफन. कंट्रोल ऑल डिलीट नेगेटिव प्रोग्रामिंग. अगर आप बोलते हो कंट्रोल ऑल डिलीट नेगेटिव प्रोग्रामिंग, सो इट इज. तो कुछ भी जो आपने नेगेटिव सोचा है, जो मैनिफेस्ट शायद होने वाला था, वो शायद नहीं होगा. क्योंकि जाने अनजाने में हम बीमारी भी मैनिफेस्ट कर लेते हैं, हम प्रॉब्लम्स भी मैनिफेस्ट कर लेते हैं, हम इमोशनल फाइनेंशियल डेट भी मैनिफेस्ट कर लेते हैं, कर्जे में भी आ जाते हैं. इट्स ओके. अगर हमारी मंशा है कर्जा, मुझे पता है कर्जा टेम्पररी है और आएगा और मैं तो लोगों को वापस पूरा का पूरा दूंगा, मेरे मन में वो है कि सबको दूंगा, जितना मैं दूंगा उतना मुझे मिलेगा, तो ऐसा ही होगा. As we relinquish our smallness and revalidate our own inner innocence, and as we let go of resisting our generosity, openness, trust, lovingness, and faith, then the unconscious will automatically start arranging life circumstances so that abundance begins to flow into our life. कई लोग होते हैं, मुझे पैसा मिल जाएगा, मैं इसको डिस्काउंट करूंगा, मोल भाव करूंगा, 100 रुपए देना है 90 रुपया दूंगा, 10 अपने पास रख लूंगा, उसको नहीं दूंगा, तो अबंडेंस इजिली नहीं आएगी. लेकिन अगर आप जेनरस होगे, ट्रस्ट करोगे यूनिवर्स को, अगर ओपन होगे, खुले विचारों के होगे, लव या आपको श्रद्धा होगी, अपने आप सब कुछ मिलेगा. क्योंकि तब आप स्मॉलनेस से ऑपरेट नहीं कर रहे हो और आप अपने बोल रहे हो कि अरे मैं तो मैजिकल पैदा हुआ था यार, मैं भूल गया था, चलो अब मैं वापस ट्रैक पे आ गया. सो इट इज. आई विल टॉक अबाउट 3 वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग्स. ये हमने रोंडा बर्न की बुक में भी किया था, द ग्रेटेस्ट सीक्रेट में भी किया था. हैविंग, डूइंग, बीइंग, 3 इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट है. अब हम सबको स्टडी करते हैं. हमारे पास क्या है, हम क्या करते हैं और कैसे रहते हैं. As we free ourselves out of lower states of consciousness, such as apathy and fear, we come into wantingness. So, जब हम फ्री कर जाते हैं हम देखो डर से, अपैथी से, बेचारगी से, कि कुछ भी होपलेसनेस नहीं है, होपलेसनेस है, तो हम जब अपने आप उनसे फ्री होते हैं तब आती है इच्छा कि अरे ये सब तो था, मुझे इससे कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता, लेकिन मुझे इच्छा है. What was formerly an I can't and impossible now becomes possible. The general progression of the levels of consciousness as we go from the lowest to the highest is to move from havingness to doingness to beingness. Let me make you understand. हमारे लेवल से कॉन्शियसनेस है, कितना हम अवेयर हैं, हम अपने बारे में कितना अवेयर हैं, उसके लेवल्स आते हैं. पहला हमारा यहाँ पर जो है, हम फ्री हो जाते हैं, अपने आप को फ्रीडम ले लेते हैं डर से या होपलेसनेस से. तो हमारे फिर इच्छा शक्ति आती है. अब जब इच्छा शक्ति आती है, उसका नेक्स्ट पॉइंट क्या है कि मुझे इच्छा है कि मेरे पास हो, हैव, आई शुड हैव इट, हैविंगनेस होना चाहिए. अब हैव करने के लिए मुझे कुछ काम करना पड़ेगा, डूइंग करना चाहिए. अब डूइंग में फिजिकल काम कर रही हूँ कि मेंटल काम कर रही हूँ, इट डजंट मैटर. मैं बैठ के मैनिफेस्ट कर रही हूँ, इमेजिन कर रही हूँ वो सपना मेरा, या मैं एक्चुअली में उतर के उसके लिए मेहनत कर रही हूँ, डजंट मैटर. व्हाट मैटर्स इन द यूनिवर्स इज योर वाइब्रेशन. कई बार बैठे बिठाए आपको आपका थाली में, सोने की थाली में नवरत्न पकवान मिल जाते हैं. क्यों मिल जाते हैं? क्योंकि आपके विचार क्लियर थे, आपके में ब्लॉकेजेस नहीं थी. बहुत लोग को बोलते रहते तो बैठे बैठे सोना उग लेता है. क्यों? क्योंकि उसके विचार ऐसे हैं, उसने अपने आप को उस जाने अनजाने में ही रेजोनेटिंग एट अ हायर वाइब्रेशन फ्रीक्वेंसी. And then when you want to have it, and when you're doing the effort which is effortless, आप manifest कर रहे हो या आप actually कुछ कर रहे हो, तो beingness में आ जाता है. मतलब you're living that life, you're being that person that with all that you want. Now, at the lower levels of consciousness, it is what we have that counts. It is what we have that we want. It is what we have that we value. It is what we have that gives us self-image of worth and position in the world. अभी जो हम जो ह्यूमन बींग्स हैं, हम सबसे लोअर लेवल ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस में. मेरे पास क्या है उससे मेरी नेटवर्थ मालूम पड़ता है. मेरे अंदर क्या है, मेरी नेटवर्थ उससे नहीं मालूम पड़ती. प्राची अग्रवाल के बैंक का बैलेंस क्या है, उससे, उसके कैसे उसके पास सॉलिडारिटी है, कैसे उसके पास क्या क्या है, उससे उसकी नेटवर्थ क्या है. अंदर से मैं कैसी हूँ, दैट डजंट मैटर. दिस इज द वर्ल्ड, दिस इज अ ह्यूमन वर्ल्ड. बट इस ह्यूमन वर्ल्ड में जो एनलाइटेंड बीइंग्स हैं, दे डोंट केयर कि मेरे पास कुछ है कि नहीं है, अंदर क्या है, व्हाट एम आई शेयरिंग, नाउ दैट मैटर्स. एंड दैट मींस उच्च विचारों वाले, राइट. नाउ लेट्स गो फर्दर. Once we have proven to ourselves that we can have and our basic needs can be fulfilled, that we have the power to provide for our own needs and those of others who depend upon us, the mind begins to become more interested in what it is that we do. सिंपली बात है, अगर आप हमारे अंदर शक्ति है, पावर है कि मैं अपने लिए सेल्फ फाइनेंस्ड हूँ, दूसरों को जो मेरे पर डिपेंडेंट है उनके लिए भी हैं, तो हमारा दिमाग चेंज हो जाता है कि हम क्या करते क्या है उसमें सोचने में. नाउ we move to different social set in which what we do in the world is the basis of our value and how others rate us. Simple again, समाज कैसे हमको देख रहा है, हम क्या कर रहे हैं वर्ल्ड में, और हमारी क्या वैल्यूज है उसके बेसिस पे हम कर रहे हैं. वो हमको बोल रहे हैं अरे अच्छा कर रहा है, मीडियम कर रहा है, बढ़िया कर रहा है. Validation of the world. Now, as we move up in lovingness, our doingness is less and less preoccupied with self-service and becomes more and more oriented to being of service to others. जैसे हम लविंग के क्षेत्र में जाते हैं, लविंग वर्ल्ड में, तब हम क्या बोधिसत्व बन जाते हैं. सॉरी, तब दैट विल बी हैवी फॉर यू. तब हम एक भगवान लाइक क्वालिटी हमारे अंदर आ जाती है कि अपने लिए तो कहीं दूसरे के लिए भी करते हैं यार. एंड जब जब दूसरे की करने के लिए इच्छा आती है तो हम सेल्फ सर्विस देते हैं, एंड हम उसमें इतने मग्न हो जाते हैं दूसरों को सर्व करने में कि हमारी कॉन्शियसनेस ग्रो कर जाती है. अपने बियॉन्ड जब हम करते हैं ना, तब हम ट्रू सर्विस कर रहे होते हैं मैनकाइंड के लिए, कि उसके लिए कर रहे हैं. ऑब्वियसली उसके लिए करे, खुद तो ग्रो करूंगी ही ना मैं, बट मेरा इच्छा क्या है, दूसरों को फायदा हो. As our consciousness grows, we see that service which is lovingly oriented towards others automatically results in the fulfillment of our own needs. This does not mean sacrifice. Service is not sacrifice. Again, मैं हमेशा बोलती हूँ लाइफ में कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं करना, सैक्रिफाइस नहीं करना. ये जो हमारी कंडीशनिंग हो रखी है मेन की और विमेन की, मेन को कि बेचारा काम करना ही करना पड़ेगा, फैमिली को सैक्रिफाइस कर लेते, विमेन के लिए कि मैं घर में अपने आप को सैक्रिफाइस कर, दूसरों के लिए नो. इससे हम हायर स्टेट ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस में नहीं जाएंगे. आपको सेल्फिश होना पड़ेगा. सेल्फ दो प्रकार के होते हैं. वन इज लोअर सेल्फ विच इज ईगो, वन इज हायर सेल्फ दैट्स आत्मा. यू हैव गॉट टू बिकम द हायर सेल्फ. यू नो, सब कुछ प्रेम से. मैं अपने लिए प्रेम दूंगी तो मुझे प्रेम मिलेगा ना, लेकिन मैं कॉम्प्रोमाइज की मूर्ति बन जाऊंगी, यू नो, सैक्रिफाइस क्वीन बन जाऊंगी, तो मैं लोग, जब मैं अपनी वैल्यू नहीं करती, लोग मेरी वैल्यू कहाँ से करेंगे? या मैं अगर आदमी सिर्फ पैसे कमाने के पीछे भाग रहा हूँ तो मुझे बच्चे, मुझे मेरे पास प्रेम देने के टाइम कहाँ है उनके पास? बिकॉज मेरे पास ही टाइम नहीं है उनके लिए. व्हाट आई गिव इज व्हाट आई गेट. सो हमको अपने आप को, एंड भी बहुत इजी है शिफ्ट करना, राइट? नाउ एट दैट पॉइंट इट इज नो लॉन्गर व्हाट वी डू इन द वर्ल्ड बट व्हाट वी आर दैट काउंट्स. We have proven to ourselves that we can have what we need, that we can do almost anything given the willingness. And now what we are within ourselves and to others becomes more important. People now seek our company, not because of what we have, not because of what we do and society's labels, because of what we are and what we have become. Because the quality of our presence, people just want to be around us and experience us. Our social description changes. We are no longer in the person who has a fashionable apartment, big car, bric-a-brac collection, nor are we labeled as a president of the so-and-so corporation or a member of the board of directors of some organization, nor are we described as a splendid person, as somebody whom people are just about to meet. Just have to know we have been described as a charismatic person. हम क्या बन जाते हैं, उससे हम अट्रैक्ट करते हैं लोगों को. Now the level of beingness is typical of self-help groups. अब हम सब क्या हैं? सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप ही हैं. In self-help groups, no one is interested in what others in the world do or what they have. They're only interested in whether or not we have achieved certain inner goals, such as honesty, openness, sharingness, lovingness, willingness to help, humility, genuineness, and awareness. They're interested in our quality of beingness. इन सब वर्चुअस को दोबारा ध्यान से पढ़िए. ऑनेस्टी, हम लोग आधी बार ऑनेस्ट ही नहीं होते अपने आप से. दूसरों से छोड़ो, अपने आप से ऑनेस्ट नहीं होते. हमें क्या चाहिए हम बोल ही नहीं पाते कि हाँ मुझे इतना पैसा चाहिए या मुझे ये चीज चाहिए. हमें लगता है अरे मांगेंगे तो नहीं, ये तो ना यूनिवर्स के अगेंस्ट जा रहा है. हम खुले ही नहीं होते, हम बोलना ही नहीं चाहते, शेयर नहीं. नजर लग जाएगी भाई, शेयरिंग ही नहीं करना चाहते. जब तक शेयर नहीं करेंगे तब तक कैसे मालूम पड़ेगा? जो लोग शेयर करते हैं वही लोग ग्रो करते हैं. लविंगनेस नहीं है, दिखाते हैं ऊपर से लविंग लविंग बातें, बोलते हैं, लिखते हैं, करते हैं, लेकिन एक्चुअली फील करके कितना कर रहे हैं? एक करना और एक मन से करने में बहुत फर्क है. जेन्युइन लव दिखा रहे हैं कि जस्ट बिकॉज सोसाइटी बोलेगी अरे तो यार इतना चैरिटी करती है, इतना अच्छी बातें बोलती है, अंदर से कैसे है उसको एक्सेप्ट करना. और एक विलिंग, एक अंदर हेल्प करने की नीचे होनी चाहिए. और हाँ, ह्यूमिलिटी, कितना उड़ूंगी मैं अपने पैसे को लेकर, कहाँ जाऊंगी? अल्टीमेटली तो पता है ना कि मैं खाली हाथ आई थी, खाली हाथ जाऊंगी. किस बात का पैसे का घमंड दिखा रही हूँ? हजारों लोग के पास पैसा है दुनिया में. हु एम आई शोइंग? मेरे पास है ना, दूसरों को फायदा कहाँ हो रहा है मेरे पैसे का? तो ह्यूमिलिटी, ग्राउंडेड, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट. जेन्युइननेस, वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, अवेयरनेस कि मैं क्या हूँ. मुझे ही मेरा सत्य पता है. आज मैं जितेंद्र जी आकर नहीं बोलेंगे तुम्हारा सत्य क्या, उनको पता भी नहीं होगा मेरा सत्य क्या है. आई विल नो माई ट्रूथ. अपने आप से ट्रूथफुल होना कि मैं क्यों क्या करता हूं, किसके लिए करता हूं, मुझे पता होना चाहिए. दूसरे को पता है कि नहीं, डजंट मैटर, मुझे पता होना चाहिए. ग्लैमर, अब हम ग्लैमर की दुनिया में जाते हैं. पूरी दुनिया ग्लैमर के पीछे भाग रही है. आज थोड़ा लंबा सेशन होगा, हल्का सा लंबा, बट इट्स ओके, लेट्स डू इट. Glamour is a very useful subject to understand. Once we understand it, आज शायद a lot of आप सब में से बहुत सारे इस वर्ल्ड की शायद मिथ्स टूटेंगे. एंड लेट्स होप कि हम तोड़ पाए इसको. अगर हम एक बार ग्लैमर को समझ जाएं, हम बहुत आसानी से लेट गो कर सकते हैं अपनी डिजायर्स का. There's a book called Glamour, A World Problem 1950 by Alice Bailey. Presents the whole subject expertly. If we look at something what we want, we can begin to distinguish between the thing itself versus the aura, the patina, the flash, attractive magnetic effect of a quality that can best be described as glamour. It is this disparity between what a thing in itself and the glamour that we have attached to it, which leads to disillusionment. We have chased some goal, and then when we have achieved it, we are disappointed. This is because the thing itself does not coincide with our pictures of it. Glamour means that we have attached sentimentality, or we have made it bigger than life. We projected onto a thing a magical quality that somehow leads us to believe that once we acquire it, we will magically achieve some higher state of happiness and satisfaction. सिंपल एग्जाम्पल दूंगी जिन लोगों को समझ में आता है. एग्जाम्पल, एक लेडी को लुई विटॉन बैग चाहिए और एक आदमी को एक फ्लैशी सी गाड़ी चाहिए. अब उसने उसको ग्लैमर वैल्यू अटैच कर लिया, लगता है ये मुझे मिल जाएगा ना तो अरे देन आई थिंक आई हैव अराइव्ड. बट जब वो मिल जाता है वो फीलिंग टेम्पररी लास्ट करती है, उसके बाद तो कोई बड़ी बात ही नहीं है. क्यों? क्योंकि हमने उसके साथ बहुत सारा चीजें अटैच कर दी हैं, उसको एक बहुत बढ़िया चीज बना दी, बट एक्चुअली में वो सिर्फ लेबल्स हैं. This happens very often in vocational roles. The man works year after year striving to become president of the company or become an important and prominent person some other way. Now, when he gets there, he expects to experience all satisfaction and glamour associated with the level of achievement. The kowtowing by employees, the flashy cars, the prominent office, the labels, the titles, exclusive addresses. But what he finds is that all of these things are superficial. Upra upri hai. They're very inadequate compensation for the agonizing energy drain and daily grind that in reality the position necessitates. अब आपने यहाँ तक आने के लिए दिन रात मेहनत करी है, क्या क्या कॉम्प्रोमाइज करा है, क्या छोड़ा है पीछे घर में, बच्चे बीवी या husband, parents, whatever. Now that is the price you have paid for reaching here, because you were so blind for reaching it. आपने देखा ही ग्लैमर देखा, अरे मैं यहाँ पहुंच जाऊं. Now, while he pictured that he would get admiration, what he often finds at the top is viciousness, competitiveness, envy, endless fawning, dishonest manipulations that occur to people in power, including the paranoid attacks by competitors. देखा है कभी कई लोग पहुंचे होंगे, जब ऊपर पहुंच जाते हैं तो वहां पॉलिटिक्स शुरू हो जाती है, फैमिली पॉलिटिक्स या बिजनेस पॉलिटिक्स या कंपेटिटर, जेलसी, एनवी. वहां तो सेटिस्फैक्शन मिलता ही नहीं है. हॉट सीट वही होती है, सबसे प्रॉब्लम वही है. पहले तो मेहनत करके पहुंच जाओ, सारी प्रॉब्लम वहां ऊपर शुरू होती है. He finds that this energy is so drained. He has no energy left for his personal life. Relationships are impaired. His wife complains that he's too exhausted to make love, too depleted to give her energy she needs, too worn out to be a good father, and too tired even to enjoy a favorite recreational activity. The same thing occurs with women in the traditional feminine areas of achievement. A woman thinks, for instance, if she gets a certain designer dress for a party, that dress is going to bring her attention, adulation, admiration, and that it will win her certain social status. With such a sacrifice, she spends a great deal of money and effort on the dress, running back and forth for fittings. But what happens? Dinner party pe, kuch passing comments aate hain dress ke liye, that's it. Nobody dances with her any more than usual. She's not more prominent than she was at the party. No more genuine attention is paid to her than previously. She gets more hostile, envious looks. More people recognize what she probably paid for it. And during the evening, she has the usual argument with the escort that they go home in the car, barely speaking to each other. The same in the past. So ये क्या है? एक vicious circle in society का. As women make gains in the corporate and political arena, they face the disappointment that accompanies longed for glamorized leadership roles in the public. What was predicted to enhance prestige and esteem brings criticism, envy, hostility, even from other women. The experience of achieving their goals is often not what they thought it was going to be. There's endless judgment of a woman's public persona and dress. She may have the gnawing feeling of inner worry and that she has failed her family by going for professional fulfillment. Winning is sometimes not as liberating as glamour world wants us to believe. आप लोगों ने देखा होगा, mental distraught is maximum in the glamour world. People die a younger death, or They go into drugs, they go into depression, they go into so much. Why? Because the artificial world that's attracting you, and it's a hollow feeling. Emotional goals are also glamorized by sentimentality and emotionalism. A certain excitement is projected into the emotional event. Example, एक reunion है, पहली date है, first time being elected as president of one's class. It is made to seem more important than in reality it is. After the event passes, life goes on to the same and disappointment ensues. Glamorization, of course, is starkly obvious in advertising. Here we see a sui generis. The cowboy is a glamorization of masculinity. The ballet dancer is glamorization of femininity. Men are attracted by personality, not the brand. Thus, the cowboy represents glamorized male who's rugged, cool, suave, and in control. Mills and Moons ne glamorized kar diya men ko who are tall, dark, and handsome. These are branding, these are images that fit into the mind of us consumers or people who project it. Now, the consumer projects onto the product that it will give him more desired personality traits. Now, glamorization is living at a fantasy level. Please understand this. ये fantasy level पे live करने वाली बात है. Therefore, when we proceed to let go for desire, we must dissect away that is exaggeration, fantasy, and romanticization. Once we have relinquished the glamour, it will be relatively easy to surrender the desire itself. If you let go of the romanticization of the cowboy, for example, then have the cigarette of the cheeseburger he was handling in the commercial, will lose its appeal. In fact, much to the surprise, we will find over and over again the desire was attached to glamorous fantasy. उसमें कोई रियलिटी थी ही नहीं पहली क्लास में, कुछ भी नहीं था, बिकॉज आपको एड्स के थ्रू डिसऑनेस्टी बेच रहे हैं या आपकी डिजायर को क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, आपको इनवाइट कर रहे हैं. इट वाज एक्चुअली अ फेक वर्ल्ड. ग्लैमर एट दैट लेवल ऑफ डिसऑनेस्टी इज फेक. हमारा माइंड प्रोटेस्ट करता है. Do I give all of that glamorous excitement? Do I have to let go of pictures of emotional gratification excitement? नहीं भाई, नहीं, you don't have to. लेकिन what? हमें देने की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन हमें ये समझना है कि हमारे गोल्स हम एफर्टलेसली ले सकते हैं अगर हम कॉन्शियस हैं कि हम क्या चूज कर रहे हैं, अगर हम उनमें एनर्जी दे रहे हैं, अच्छी एनर्जी दे रहे हैं. We can be attractive, but we won't get in a fake way to driving a certain style of car. We will get it by letting go of our smallness. आधी बार हम सारे ह्यूमन बींग्स इंक्लूडिंग मी हमारे ईगो के वर्ल्ड में ऑपरेट करते हैं. मुझे ये गाड़ी चाहिए, मुझे ये ज्वेलरी चाहिए, मुझे ये घर चाहिए. हमारी स्मॉलनेस है. हमारी बिगनेस क्या हो जाएगी, हमारी ग्रेटनेस क्या हो जाएगी कि मैं किस टाइप की इंसान हूँ, कितना ठहराव कितना है मुझ में, वो होता कितने में है. हार्डली. क्यों? क्योंकि हमारी कॉन्शियसनेस लो रेजोनेट कर रही है. Therefore, if you have physical goals or you have small goals, let that be a small fraction. Bigger goal should be कि मैं पढ़ता रहूं, सीकर रहूं, लाइफ में आगे बढ़ूं. ये सब तो अपने आप हो जाएगा. जब मैं रेजोनेट कर रहा हूँ हाई वाइब्रेशन पे, ये तो अपने आप पीछे चल के आ ही जाएगा. पर मैं इसके पीछे भागूंगा तो मैं वो चीज अवॉइड कर दूंगा. We can easily become that exciting person. We can easily become the person people are eager to know. Just choose to be that person and let go of the block of desiring to be that way. मुझे वो पावरफुल पर्सन बनने की जगह, अगर मेरा वो इंटेंशन की जगह होगा कि इफ आई एम फ्लोइंग आउट ऑफ लव आई एम अ पावरफुल पर्सन, तो मैं अपने आप बन जाऊंगा. मुझे पता है इतना मुश्किल है ही नहीं. बस दैट्स इट. We can have what we want directly without detouring through some fraudulent promise that will lead us into frustration and disappointment. Please, मेरा request है आप सबसे, shortcuts मत लीजिएगा लाइफ में. Shortcuts मतलब किसी को bribe करना, कुछ fraud करना, उससे temporary happiness मिलेगी, but अपना higher self बहुत dip करेगा, टैग गिरेगा. जब आप कुछ भी act of fraudery करते हैं, कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं करते हैं, आप गिर जाते हो उस स्तर पे. आपको लगेगा कि इसके बिना तो हम लाइफ में आगे बढ़ ही नहीं सकते, लेकिन बस वो आप नीचे गिर गए अपने हायर सेल्फ में. The way to become that exciting person whom people want to know is very easy. हम वो इंसान की पिक्चर करते हैं जो हम बनना चाहते हैं, और हम सरेंडर कर देते हैं सारी नेगेटिव फीलिंग्स जो भी हमारी लाइफ में आ रही हैं, जो प्रिवेंट कर रही हैं हमें वो पर्सन बनने से। उसके बाद जो होगा दैट इज मैजिक। व्हाट हैपेंस देन इज ऑल वी नीड टू हैव इज एंड डूअर्स विल ऑटोमेटिकली फॉल इनटू प्लेस। अगर मेरी इंटेंशन है कि मुझे ऐसा इंसान बनना है विद लॉट्स ऑफ लव एंड लाइट एंड नेगेटिविटी ड्रॉप करना है, अपने आप अगर मेरी इंटेंशन है तो अपने आप चीजें ऐसी होंगी कि ये सब हो ही जाएगा। क्यों होता है ऐसा? This is because, in contrast to having and doing, the level of being has the most power and energy. When it is given priority, it automatically integrates and organizes one's activities. This mechanism is evidenced in the common experience. What we hold in our mind tends to manifest. Itna sa rakhein and realize that you all are creating something which is beautiful. Have a good intention of creating something very powerful and see the magic work. So today, I want all of us to think back on ourselves, on what we are operating from. Are we truly letting go? Are we working on our energy, on desire? क्या डिजायर कर रहे हैं एक्चुअल? और इवन यूनिफाइड में भी आता है एक्चुअल डिजायर क्या है मेरी, यू नो व्हाट इज माय ट्रू डिजायर। एक प्राची अग्रवाल की डिजायर है और एक मेरी हायर सेल्फ की डिजायर है। व्हाट इज इट? So let's think about this. This book is going to give us food for thought. And let's now move on to our book of creative thinking. Um, since yesterday, I have decided to do the heart thoughts as meditation. Same message I will be bringing to you as heart thoughts. And now we'll be reading this third book for the day. So this book is very beautiful because it challenges us into thinking something which is beyond the ordinary. कल हमने पढ़ा था कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन करनी है अपने खुद के बिलीफ से, अपने खुद के सेट सिस्टम से। Now let's understand that all of us are in this world of letting go and all of us are evolving. And now this is one part which you'll all say, क्या लिखा है इसमें? Take joke seriously. What does that mean? कई बार मजाक में करी हुई बात को भी हमें seriously लेना चाहिए because it has some deep down meaning. Let's understand this fact today with our story that we are going to be reading by Rod Judkins. Let's take joke seriously. Many successful creative people don't start with grand visions of world domination, but with a joke. When Mark Zuckerberg helped to create Facebook, he wasn't trying to build a global company. He was indulging in subversive humor. Facebook was developed to allow fellow students at Harvard to select the best looking person from a choice of photos. It caused outrage and was banned by the college, but was so popular it crashed the university's servers. There's a movie about this. I don't know if you've seen it. I forgot the name of the movie. It's how Facebook began, how the idea was taken. All of that is about in that movie. Now, many of Andy Warhol's paintings started out as a joke. He produced a series of silkscreen paintings of dollar bills in rows and columns, a wry joke about the value of art. Collectors paid millions of dollars for a few dollars. A joke that launched an artistic revolution was Marcel Duchamp's Fountain. It became one of the most influential works of the 20th century. For a $6 fee, any artist could submit work to an exhibition held by a Society of Independent Artists. For a joke, Duchamp submitted a porcelain urinal that he'd brought from a New York plumbing supplier, signed it R. March 1917, the maker's name, and titled it Fountain. The piece was never exhibited. The curators refused to display it, but its submission caused uproar. Was it art or not? Fountain was thrown away, forgotten. A photograph was the only record of the original product. The key to the success was that the photo was reproduced in an avant-garde art magazine with an accompanying article that eloquently explained the concept of the ready-made. It started the ball rolling. The reputation of Fountain grew. It was repeatedly reproduced in art magazines and books. Collectors clamored to buy it because of the name and the fame. So Duchamp decided to remake it. There was a problem though. The manufacturer had stopped producing them. Duchamp had to hire craftsmen to make an exact replica from the photograph by hand. A delicious irony. So do you understand these three things of how they began, how they were rejected, how they were thought of as a joke, and yet they became the biggest sellers. Sometimes a joke needs to be taken seriously. Sometimes humor is important. Humor is a pattern switching process. A joke is funny because it causes insight and switchover from a familiar pattern to a new unexpected one. जोक में क्यों हम हंसते हैं कुछ जो कॉमन नहीं है एकदम से बस वो आता है it just triggers you and you get into giggle and laughter. It is this moment of surprise and realization that triggers laughter. Duchamp didn't intend Fountain to become the centerpiece for a history of modern art. He was poking fun at society for independent artists, reverence for traditional artistic skills. At that time, the public had expectations that an artwork might be a bronze sculpture of female nudes or whatever, not a urinal. If Duchamp had thought Fountain was a masterpiece, he wouldn't have thrown it away. It was only when the art world started taking the joke seriously that he too started taking it seriously. Spurred on by unexpected success of Fountain, Duchamp started an art form known as ready-made, an ordinary manufactured object that the artist selected and sometimes modified. Duchamp saw them as an antidote to traditional handmade art. Simply by studying the object, it became art. The format of a conventional joke is that the listener is led down to familiar, reasonable pathway. While they're traveling down this familiar road, the punchline suddenly shifts them into a different, unexpected sidetrack. Creativity is about producing the unexpected and seeing them from different perspective. Humor can be instrumental in shifting that expectation. कई बार देखा है ना कि कोई बहुत आप टफ लाइन पे चल रहे हो यू टॉकिंग अ वेरी डीप इंटेंस कन्वर्सेशन दिमाग कई बार ना बंद भी हो जाता है ब्रेन ड्रेन but somebody just adds a line of humor and you giggle and you why because the right hormones are released, the right creativity is released. We are artistic by nature, we are born artists, we're creative. Now when you produce the unexpected and when your nazariya shifts, when your perspective shifts, life shifts. एकदम से you work far more fundamentally, far more amazingly, far more lucratively and बहुत results मिलते हैं. We often find ourselves feeling anxious, busy, harassed, and trying to look productive at work. ये तो होता ही है ना. Anxiety भी है, busy भी है, कई बार harassed भी हैं, नए तरीके से करना भी चाह रहे हैं. We're trying to learn some new skills. But let's understand, it's almost impossible to be inventive in that frame of mind. It hardly helps if society believes that you're having fun when you can't get the job done right. Rather than being weighed down by a serious mindset, that we need is really humor. Humor, a change of mind. That is why I keep saying this in the best and the most famous of places, be it Google or wherever, they have a very creative area, out of the box designing for you to sit and think and de-stress. They have these little cubicles also, or they have these large open spaces also, where you can meditate, where you can hear good music, and where you can just feel the vibes and your energy shifts. Because that's when you become a creator. Mind में इतना clutter है, how will you create, Baba? Possible ही नहीं है. Humor is a key that opens the door to counterintuitive and subversive thinking. Very important to understand that. Humor adds fun. If you have reached an impasse and are stuck with a problem, it can leave you to a fresh perspective, instigate insight or enlightenment. So I don't know how many of you have observed when you're in the company of a man or a woman who's very funny, keeps cracking jokes, when you come back home, you feel just a light-hearted feeling. Oh, wow, what an evening. Because you're no longer stuck. Because your perspective is different, it's fresh. Christopher Isherwood says, only those who are capable of silliness can be called truly intelligent. It's okay to laugh at your own mistakes, yeah? It's okay to want to try something new which is not ordinary. That's when you become extraordinary. So sometimes adding wit, humor, being childish, taking your energy from children, working on their energy is interesting. Today's chapter was about that. Thank you, Rahul. Now, when it comes to our meditation, thereafter, if there are any questions, we'll take them up. But right now, let's meditate and let's meditate on heart thoughts. So everyone, our eyes closed, our body grounded the way we do it. How comfortably you are grounded, please see for yourselves. Your arms in a comfortable resting position. Let's take a deep breath in and gently release. Very gently. Keep releasing. Keep releasing. Let your tummy go inside. Now, once again, take a deep breath in. Inhale and expand your tummies, your diaphragms. And gently release. Very gently. There's no hurry. Inhale. And exhale. Life is magical. Life is all about vibrations. Life manifests so easily. Let's go in a world of letting go. We have so many wishes. We have so many ideas. Let's applaud ourselves on our desires, on our intentions, knowing as a human, we have so much to desire. It's all right to have the humanly desires, but let's tell ourselves that whatever I desire is coming to me so easily, is coming to me effortlessly. All I have to do is be a content and a happy person and enjoy what I'm doing. Whenever I'm not enjoying whatever I'm doing, I know I always have a choice. Choose to believe that it is easy to change a thought or pattern. I have been conditioned of following a pattern for my life, but if it's not working for me, I have the choice to change it. Whether it's a thought process or whether it's a belief or whether it's a mental, human thing, emotional thing, physical thing, I have a choice to change thinking because I am here in the right place at the right time. Most of us have foolish ideas about who we are and many, many rigid rules about how life should be lived. Well, some call them foolish, some call them brilliant. Let's remove the tagging. Let's remove the word should from our vocabulary forever. Because should makes us feel stuck. Should is a word that makes us a prisoner for life. Every time we use that we should do it, we're making ourselves wrong. Or we're making someone else wrong. We are in effect saying we are not good enough. It should be done like that. Who are we to compare ourselves to anybody or anybody to ourselves? Who's given us the right that what is good, what is bad, this should be done or that should be done? No. Let's drop it from our list. Let's replace it with this powerful word, could. Could lets us know that we always have a choice. And choice liberates us. It's giving us so much of freedom. There's nothing really that we can do or we have to do. It's always a choice. We can do, we could do. Because we are empowered. We live a life of magnificence. Whatever we desire comes to us so easily. So, what is holding us back? When the world is an open stage for scripting, writing, directing our drama, then let's make the best life. Because we have an option, we could do it. Alternatively, we could flow in the universal plan and just know that we trust the process of life, whatever ensues, is for our betterment. Nothing is wrong. Manifesting and making it come true, or thanking when something happens automatically, both are correct. What is it that I want? What is it that makes me feel happy? I should do that. Again, should I? Or I could. Do I want to be stuck in this world of shoulds? Or could I change myself? Let's think about this and be grateful that the Almighty has given us this beautiful choice of living our life the way we desire. Whether we want to make a day productive or whether we choose to make it a lazy, love-filled, happy day, it depends upon us. Whether I enjoy a day in my office, enjoying giggling, having great time, or whether I spend time with myself, I have a choice. I could choose to live the day I want. I could choose to live the life I want. Because I always have a choice. Let's bow our heads in gratitude towards Mother Earth for grounding us, rooting us, making us so humble, for ensuring that each one of us is growing, evolving with the power of choice. Whether we want to drop the world of glamour or we want to desire something at a lower self or higher self, we could choose. And dear Mother Earth, your grounding, your rooting, your passion, your compassion, your empathy, all teaches us so many virtues. It enlivens us, empowers us, and enlightens us with so much more. Thank you for enlivening us for our lives on everyday level. We're truly enriched. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The roots that are growing from my souls into you, Mother Earth, I take pride in them and I take them back into my body, knowing that I'm free. I'm grounded, yet I'm free. So thank you, Mother Earth, for your energy. Let's look at a life level and be thankful to our wonderful life. Whatever experiences we've had, whatever lessons we've learned, with all the ups and downs, with the lows and highs, each one each one worthy, each one noteworthy. Let's thank each one of them for enriching us, for creating us into who we are today. Wiser, sharper, better, more full of love, more full of light. Thank you, dear life, for being so amazing. I may have lived this life or many, many more. I may be aware, I may not be, but whatever I've lived, I'm so grateful. And I thank today, right now, this moment, where I'm being grateful for creating this beautiful life with the help of the ultimate divine. I could label myself as a creator, as an artist, because I know that I am made in the image of God and He has made me exactly the way He is. Able, complete, happier, full of abundance. So dear, dear, dear life, empower me with this knowledge all the time. That whatever I resonate, whatever I think in my mind manifests. And may all the negative thing which I've unknowingly taken upon me be decluttered from my mind. May all the negative energy flow away. Help me sharpen my aura. Thank you, dear life. Thank you, dear present. To the future, as I look at you, I know you're bright and sparkling. You're shining with your beautiful light. So thank you for that. Let's expand our hands towards the universe above and thank our universe for having our back. Dear universe, you are magical. You're giving us so much of beautiful energy. The sun rises and shines its light on me. The moon rises and shines the light on me and everyone around. And the stars, they share the light all the time. Thank you for making each one of us a channel of love, a channel of light, telling us that we are all open and receptive for all the wonderful abundance from all possible universes. To all our teachers in this realm or the others, in this dimension or the others, in this plane or the others, in this universe or the others, we thank you for your beautiful guidance. Thank you, angels. Thank you, guardians, for ensuring we're protected. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's bring our hands at the heart level folded. Be grateful for everything from heavens to earth, including your family, your parents, your children, all your loved ones, and every beautiful circumstance around you. Rub your hands together, feel the energy flow, the warmth, the tingling. Bless your wonderful face, your eyes, ears, mouth, nose, your neck, your shoulders, arms, upper back, spinal cord, middle back, lower back, your hips, your legs, top to bottom, soles of feet, with the roots have gone back within your body, upper part of the feet, upper part of your thighs, your calves, sexual organs, excretory organs, your entire gut area, intestines, large intestines, liver, gallbladder, kidneys, uterus, stomach. Bless your lungs for breathing beautifully, expanding. Bless your heart for growing abundantly every day, more full of love, more full of light. Bless your body where the energy, the ki, chi is radiating inner. And let's share our energy with love, light, and blessings for all sentient beings. May there be light, may there be love. Lots of love and light to you, Jitendra ji, Dr. Kamakshi, Pratima ji, Vijay ji, Manisha, Asmeet, Usha ji, Bharat, Richa, Rahul sir, Amrita ma'am, Shami, Surendra ji, Arvind ji, and to everyone who's seeing virtually. Be blessed, my loved ones. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm sorry the session became a little long, but then it was a very interesting chapter of letting go. And I think as the time is approaching, we can make it a little longer. There's just not too many days left for us to conclude our journey. So thank you everyone for making my morning magical with your beautiful presence. Good to see you, Smeet, after a long gap. Nice to see your smile. If there are any questions about today's learning, please feel happy to share or ask, because we have been going deep within us in this book of Refuse to Choose and asking ourselves some relevant questions, why we are choosing or why we are not choosing, and knowing that we have the divine intelligence and the guidance to give us the answers. The more we reflect deep within, the more answers keep coming out. So thank you, Pratima ji, for your love. Always it flows. So because today we did not have Akshay or Shivani, we couldn't record the sound meditation, but nonetheless, it's going to be a part of the session and it's available for viewing for all. So thank you, everyone. Lots of love and lots of light. I don't see any hands up, so I think there are no reflections. I think the ones who generally ask are not here, and that's absolutely all right. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Be blessed.